And good morning for another episode. We're back with Morning Coffee with Marcaida. And how's everybody been doing? Had to be put on a timeout a little bit. I guess to Facebook, you got to be careful what you post up there, especially with the kind of music you use if it's copyrighted, or they'll put you on, boom, timeout. But nonetheless, we're back, and it's good to be back to share some thoughts. So my thoughts for today were to focus on some of the things that we do on Forge and Fire, right shirt for today, in Forge and Fire, and some of the processes that you see there. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is to have that, an outlook of finding the parallels of life. So, let's imagine this is a piece of metal ore. This piece of metal ore is right there for all of us, right? So it's put there for us to look at. If we do nothing to that piece, nothing will happen. And my teacher used to say, the worst thing that could happen is when nothing happens at all. So in order for this to turn into, let's say, this, you have to add heat. You have to put it in fire. Fire is what makes the metal malleable. It's what changes the molecule there so that you can move it to make it grow. So the first thing is we put it into the forge, let the heat burn it up and heat it up to a critical temperature to where it starts to move like clay. In that process, you can start hammering into it so that it starts to lengthen the whole piece, and eventually you can start to form a knife-like piece. That is what the heat does, and the process of metal, of moving metal. Without that heat, it's very hard to move that metal. In life, without the heat, without the pressure testing, without the obstacles, we're not going to learn to grow. We're just going to be there because we're not experiencing things. So you want to accept and learn from it, not necessarily be ruined by it because it's going to help you grow. Welcome it. Be thankful for the obstacles given to you. Don't let it defeat you because then you won't grow. Realize that everything like this, in order for this to become this, it needs the heat. It needs all that so that it will help it grow. So when we're facing obstacles every day, instead of saying, why is this happening? Saying, this is only going to help me grow. It's a necessary evil or negative thing to make me grow. Now, some of the things that you always, can we prepare ourselves in life? That's why we study everything so that we can prepare to avoid things. But life doesn't happen that way. Life will just give you immediately something and you have to learn from it. It's like in school, we take lessons, you take your subjects and then you take a test. Well, life just throws a test at you. And then you have to learn a lesson from that test, a little bit of the backwards. Can you prepare for that? As we grow, and that's when you accept these obstacles, you'll become immune to the process and saying, hey, it had to happen for me to learn a lesson. Without that, you're not going to be able to form this into this. But is life supposed to be a bunch of hard tests for us to enjoy it? Does everything have to be so bad? No. In the process also of knife making, there's a process. So when you move your metal, in order for this now to be strong, you have to quench it. You know when they put it in the oil barrel, boom, you see they pull out, sometimes when they pull out too early, you see all the fire around it, right? That hardens the metal. Now it's a stronger metal. It's no longer soft or everything because of the heat softens it. By quenching it, cooling it off, the molecules contract. Now it's a harder metal. So now it strengthens you. That they say, that of which does not kill me makes me stronger. Same thing with metal. The quench does that. So in life's patterns also, everything that happens to you makes you stronger because you're more prepared. It's a feeling that you've been there. It's a lesson that you've learned from that. But be careful. Don't let these lessons only be the one thing that hardens you, because then you don't want to be a person walking around through life being so hard, being so angry all the time because I'm prepared now. You have to make sure that your lessons in life don't make you bitter. I always said this, life's lessons, life's tests should make you a better person, not a bitter person. I use that in martial arts. We use it also in life. If it is too hard from the quench, if I smack this, it's going to break. Just like if you are too hard of a person because of all your life's lessons and everything else, you're no longer a functional, loving person. You're no longer hard to approach because you're so guarded and you don't get to enjoy life or be happy with life. The next process is we call tempering. So Once this goes into a quench, what you don't see in the show is we temper the blades. They're put in an oven with a certain amount of heat, but slow heat for it to get used to. That makes the metal not brittle anymore. So what happens here is that, let me adjust this, sorry about that. So what happens there is the metal that you're working with is no longer brittle. It's hard, but it's not brittle. It won't break if you hit too much of impact. And that's the way we have to learn our life's lessons. Learn to make you stronger, harder, but not brittle. Don't let it defeat you. One of the things, I told one of my very close student friend was that he was going to Afghanistan. And his particular job was to put somebody on your crosshairs. And that's worried me because I knew this guy from a very young age, and I was worried for him because of my work with veterans. And I told him, just remember this. In the end, you're going to be fighting for the person beside you. That's all that matters. We can say about for love of God and country and all this. No. When you're downrange and you're there, all that is back home. The one fighting beside you and that you're worried to live for is the people beside you. And you might witness some stuff to where things are not going to go down the way you want it to. May not be the best thing, especially with somebody you're fighting for or caring for is blasted to pieces. You're going to put something in your crosshairs. And this cannot be avoided. It's your job. It's what you do. You're a soldier. But just remember, whoever is at the other end, when you pull that trigger, remember that they're also believing in their beliefs and what they're doing. So when you do this, do it for the right reasons. Don't do it with hate. It's very easy to just be so angry, but you're going to have to live with yourself for the rest of your life, and you don't want to be a hateful person. Know that you came back from there. You've learned the hardest lessons of all because you were the ones who were really pressure tested back there. But remember that try to do it with an understanding that it doesn't change you and doesn't ruin you for the rest of your life. You don't want to come back so hard that when you come back to this country, you're brittle. Know that it was my job, that whoever was at the other end of that you were doing that to, had a reason to do what they're doing. I have my reasons for what I'm doing, but don't do it with hate. It's a very hard lesson to push, a very hard lesson to expect of people. That's why we have a lot of our veterans come back with a lot of PTSD because of the preparation of this was not quite there. The mental preparation, the emotional preparation is very hard. And there's no way you can prepare sometimes, but you can try to give life's lessons to them. It's just a hard thing. But I hope that they come back and find a way to temper that hardness. In life, we have ways. The heat that we talk about, that we go through, it's there to refine you. Just like the heat refines the grain structure of a blade, it's there to refine your experiences in life. But it's not to harden you. It's there to hopefully find a way that you can temper so that it can be more malleable to life. And sometimes the only way to even find the best test pressure to think, so I understand this, is faith. You got to have blind faith sometimes. Sometimes you got to believe in something because life's tests may happen all the time. You go like, this doesn't matter anymore. This is so painful that I can't get through this. Why would God ever do this? Or why would he have this? It's faith. Because know this, from the day you were born, you will die. Everybody around us will live, they will die. Make your life count. But if you only think about lessons, for what? I'm going to die anyways. Exactly. We're all going to pass anyway. So I hope that most of us have faith, because it's sometimes when you have faith that it is the only thing that ever makes sense. It's the only thing that you have to look forward to, that you can be at peace. Everybody has to find their way. I found mine through faith. I hope you do too. But the lessons here is so that for today's talk, and a quick one, I gotta get going, is always think about and welcome the obstacles that come to you. They're there for a reason if you make it something reasonable. Don't hide from it, learn from it. The worst that could happen is when nothing happens at all, right? And life is a constant change. Welcome it, learn from it, be tested, but don't let it harden you. Be a better person, not a bitter person. Doug Marcaida here. Hope you guys, I know, let it sit here for a second. It's espresso. It's a shot for me that wakes me up in the morning. Then the rest of the day, I'll have some more, and I sip it. I just don't have the time to really sip a couple of times. Well, there's a sip, so I don't want to keep on rolling. Hope you guys had a good week. We're in the middle of the week. Let's keep moving. One more sip. And everybody have a great rest of the week. Take care.